Hello again, dear ones. It is so great to be back with you again. Denny and I enjoyed our time with family. It was very special. It's very special to us. And you can tell I'm in a different space today. After our time with the grandchildren, I fly them back to their home in Clearwater with my daughter and her husband. So that's where I am now. And I will be back in Arkansas with Denny in just a couple days. So while I was away, you got to enjoy a music Sunday, which I know you love, and 3 lessons from Pastor Lee Johnson. How great was that? I know you are enjoying him, and I know he enjoys you as well. Now, there may be times, and we can be honest here, when you might wonder where my lessons are taking us. Is there a roadmap? Is she shooting from the hip? And if there is a roadmap, are we on the main road or one of those detours? It's okay to wonder. I've asked those same questions myself at times. And I absolutely trust the guidance of spirit. I may have an idea, but spirit, God, takes that idea, spins it around, enlarges it, and shines it back to me. And I am always humbled by what comes forth. Not from me, but from spirit and through me as I interpret it. No, that's really life, isn't it? When we are able to trust that within us is a wisdom so much greater than our awareness, a deep love, richer and all-encompassing, so much more than our human expressions of affection. We are capable of shining forth the light of God. Remember last week's lesson from Pastor Lee? He spoke of going beyond listening to the Word of God to becoming the very Word of God, the light of Spirit, and then beaming it into your world. So, when the Tree of Contemplative Practices, which I knew nothing about, was introduced to me 3 times from 3 different sources, I knew it was something that I had to explore for me and for us as a community. So, why do we go on these journeys? Because we are so much more than simply spiritual seekers. We are truth seekers. We are truth students of unity. Knowing that dabbling in this or that can be fun, we can enjoy the peripheral, shiny distractions, also knowing that they might be a bit superficial. And we want more. And here's the difference. We are willing to do the work. We understand that there are multiple steps on the path to becoming who we are. And this is what I know. First, we wake up. We wake up. And we do that often when we come to unity and learn that God is everywhere present and within all of us, that Christ consciousness is our essence, or like the Buddhists believe, that we all have a pure heart. And I was in my 40s when I found unity and woke up to this beautiful awareness. And it changed my life and it changed the lives of my children. And it made me more successful in my career at that time. And I continue to wake up to this truth. For as humans, we wake up, then we forget, and we wake up, and then there's the human condition, and then we wake up. So after we wake up, we do the work to grow up spiritually, to mature spiritually. We set the intention to come to church, and that takes effort, and to take home and try out the different spiritual tools that we hear about. We go to classes, we go to workshops to stretch ourselves, to move beyond that which is comfortable and known, to be brave, all for the sake of experiencing and expanding our spirituality, our inner divinity, our connection, our oneness as often as possible. And oftentimes that part is hard. Growing up means that we have to do our forgiveness work towards those who we believe have harmed us and forgiveness towards ourselves. We grow up when we recognize and begin to heal our wounds and to hold ourselves accountable for the choices we make and perhaps decide to make different choices. So we wake up, we grow up, and we continue to show up. We show up for others. Just as others saw our light and helped us see and feel and believe in the love of our being, we do that for others. It's not a time to step back and rest. Our fifth unity principle is all about living the truth we know and being the light. And yes, people will come and go through unity. We may be part of their path, but not their home. And that's absolutely okay. They give a blessing, they take a blessing with them. And for those who do find home here at Unity, we also accept the responsibility of being here for one another and for holding that light. So we wake up, we grow up, we show up, and we serve. For it is through serving others that we have the opportunity to be who we truly are. Beautiful expressions of light and love. An amazing side benefit. Not only do we find connection when we serve others, not only do we feel great in offering our hands and our hearts to help others, we heal. Serving is healing. It feeds that part of ourselves that yearns to nurture and to help and to give. Serving is a way to put into action that beautiful part of our nature. So this month is about waking up to the various practices of mindfulness and growing our own practices. So waking up and growing up. So some background on what this is all about, the Tree of Contemplative Practice. And we'll show you a picture in just a minute. Another way to think about this, a more current term, might be the tree of mindfulness. For mindfulness is a state of being present and aware of one's thoughts and feelings and bodily sensations without judgment. They are practices that open us to the awareness of our oneness with all others, with spirit, and with the world. So Maya Dewar created this concept of the Tree of Contemplative Practices back in 2002 as a way to group various mindfulness practices from a variety of spiritual or religious backgrounds, a way to visually grasp how expansive and inclusive these practices are. She never dreamed how universally welcome this concept would become. She was hired to direct an initiative, the Contemplative Net, a research project intended to map these emerging fields of mindfulness practices. And she describes it as her dream job. She came with a background as a qualitative researcher who is passionate about Buddhism and meditation, and she still is. Her job was to read interview transcripts and look for common themes as well as divergence. She says it was a joy to digest the words of these people, many of whom she had long admired. There were 84 interviews that encompassed a diverse range of spiritual traditions. There was Buddhist, Christian, Islam, Judaism, and more. And the interviewees all agreed that it was essential to meet people where they are and find ways to make these practices accessible to diverse audiences. So part of her job was to figure out how to communicate the findings of this research in a meaningful way. And so she explains as she sat in her office sifting through these reams of data, she began to see a pattern, and an image of a tree came to her, with each branch taking a form of various groupings. And when she shared this idea with members of the research team, a staff person, Carrie Bergman, who is a gifted artist, gave the tree a beautiful visual form. The Tree of Contemplative Practices was born. What the tree does so well is to prioritize intention rather than form. Remember that, to prioritize intention rather than form. Because it's so easy for us to get caught up in the idea that we aren't good at sitting meditation and then give up on the whole activity. I don't know how, it's uncomfortable, I don't know how to do it right. I can't sit in that yoga pose. My legs don't work that way. My mind won't be quiet. Of course it won't. It doesn't work for any of us. It takes practice and patience and setting aside self-judgments. Remember, it's about intention, not about form. And the beauty of the tree is that it allows people to see beyond one form. We think of sitting meditation as the only way to meditate, and to understand that a practice can take many forms, depending on our personality and what's going on in our lives. The tree also allows room for creativity. It's a living document, one that people can add onto or change in a way that speaks to them. So after the service today, you can pick up both a picture of the tree all filled in and a blank one that you can use throughout this month. And perhaps you'll join us on Wednesdays when we will be working together on filling in our own personal blank trees. For the tree was never meant to be a definitive grouping. It was never meant to be etched in stone. It's an invitation to explore what practices means to each one of us and which ones empower us and enliven us. Maya's biggest hope for the tree is that it can liberate us from narrow ideas of what contemplative or mindfulness practices are and help us to find one or hopefully many that truly work for us. And with this discovery, rather than bemoaning that meditation is something we'll never be good at, we can actually embrace a practice and find ways to integrate it into our lives. The tree offers a way to balance and broaden contemplative practices so that we can take back our power and wake ourselves up to cultivate a greater sense of who we are and who we came here to be. Wake up, grow up, growing our personal practices. So let's take a look at this tree. Janet has a slide for us that Carolyn put together. We'll take a glance at how the tree is designed. Well, first, it reminds me of our beloved's tree with all the beautiful leaves, honoring people who are important to us. We see it in the back of the sanctuary. And at the root of our beloved's tree is the love of our founder, the late Reverend Evelyn Casper. So let's start with the roots of the contemplative tree, which is a great place to start. Communion and connection are on one large root, and awareness is on the other. These two roots at the base of the tree represent all these diverse practices that they have in common: communion and connection with the divine, with nature, with oneself, and other people. Then the other root is awareness. And the roots symbolize the intentions that are the foundation of all contemplative practices. They encompass and transcend differences in religious traditions. and the practices that many of these originate from, and instead unite all mindfulness practices by a common goal, communion and connection with something greater than yourself and awareness of yourself, others, and the world around you. So let's look at that first word, communion. It originates from the Latin word communionem, meaning fellowship, mutual participation, sharing, or reflecting the communal aspect of a ritual. The word union is in the middle of that Latin word. We often use the word communion when describing our relationship with spirit. And it is similar to the word connection, a sister word, so to speak. Connection is so critical in our lives, and we all know this. Connection in this context is all about the connections we have with one another, our fellow human beings, and our connection with the divine, within and outside of ourselves. That second root has the word awareness. Well, second perhaps to the word love, this is the word you hear most often from me in my lessons because it's all about awareness, awareness of who we are and whose we are, awareness of the divine within us and within all others, awareness of how we are being in the world, how we are reacting, responding, and through our awareness, we can choose differently. We can be different. We can choose to love. Well, these roots, communion, connection, and awareness, are the foundation of our exploration, our love work, our intention, our commitment for this month, and hopefully well beyond August 2025 at Unity of the Keys Spiritual Center. Now, the branches of the tree represent different groupings of practices. There are 7 branches. There is stillness, which is quieting the mind. There's generative, like loving kindness and compassion meditations. There's creative, like music and singing. There's active, activism, work and volunteering. There's relational, which is deep listening. Then there's movement, like yoga and dance. And ritual, or cyclical, establishing a sacred space. Well, this morning we're going to move up from the roots of our intention to the first branch to the left, which is stillness. From Psalm 46:10, we hear the words, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Well, this is actually the theme for Unity World Day of Prayer in September. Be still and know. And these are the words displayed on the wall in the prayer chapel at Silent Unity at Unity Village in Missouri. We may have a photo of that. I'm not sure. It was kind of blurry when I sent it to Carolyn. We may have a picture of for a slide. And these are the words displayed so beautifully in our prayer room. Stillness. Without our inner work, which can only be approached in the silence, we cannot fully experience the awareness of our divine connection. And yes, we can experience glimpses, and we do, and it is glorious. And the silence is there within us, just below our busy mind, waiting for our attention, waiting for us to hold the intention of being aware of God, of spirit, of divine love, divine life. Your stillness may come in the form of meditation or prayer, or anything that you're doing to move below that busyness and the noise of the mind, whatever centering practice, grounding exercises you might use, however you use time in the silence. And this is what I ask of you this week, especially if you're not able to join us midweek, to explore these practices at more depth. Do love work on your own. Ask yourself what practices you currently are using. Might they be expanded? And be honest, might they be non-existent or way less than you truly desire? Then choose a practice that comes easily to you. No deep yoga poses, no painful judgments about what you are doing wrong. 5 minutes in the stillness. That's all I'm asking for to begin with. Whatever works for you. And then move up to 7 minutes and then 10 until you are enjoying, experiencing 20 minutes in the silence. No particular practice, simply stillness. And join us on Wednesday evening if you can. Now, Suzanne mentioned that there's a supply of composition notebooks for us all to use that Janet picked up for us. Pick one up, label it however you want. Use it to expand upon the daily word each day, as Pastor Lee suggested, or use it to record your contemplative practices or your thoughts about those practices this month. It can be a journal, a spiritual journal, or a record keeping, whatever you make of it. You can doodle in it if that's what's easiest for you. Make it yours and pick up the copy of the tree and the blank tree to take home with you. And I have a second ask. If you are there in the sanctuary in person, wait until the prayer room is quiet or empty, and then walk in. Look at the words on the wall. Place your hand on your heart and breathe in those words. Be still and know. In the silence, in the stillness, 15, 20, 30 seconds, breathe in those words. And if you're not there in the sanctuary, you can see that painting in your mind's eye, those words in your mind's eye. Be still and know. Breathe in those words and let them touch your heart. And then if you're there at church, you can move out or move aside so someone else can have their experience. Let this be a beautiful beginning to expanding your personal contemplative practices. Let today be a beautiful beginning to expanding your personal contemplative practices. We are here to grow. Wake up, grow up, show up, and serve. Chris and Phil will be joining us now to enhance this morning's experience with music as we take this time to move into meditation. Closing your eyes if that works for you, getting comfortable in your seat, lifting and relaxing your shoulders, breathing in gently and deeply, then releasing as we ready ourselves for the gift of connection.